It's time for the One Bar and Linebacker Show, bringing you anything and everything Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome to professional football.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Linebacker Show. I'm One Bar with Linebacker, and we, the Minnesota Vikings, officially have a 53-man roster right now. Holy shit.
Yeah, and the key word is right now, because there's definitely going to be changes to this thing. And we're going to go through this thing position by position, say if there's any surprises, anything we didn't see coming here. But this is definitely not the way it's going to look next week.
Yes, and there are a few pant filler moves that we made, but let's start right at quarterback. Kirk Cousins, Sean Mannion. I think we both agree, no surprises there.
No surprises. Jake Browning, Nate Stanley both cut. I think they will both end up on the practice squad.
I think you are damn right. Running backs, Amir Abdullah, he was on the cusp, but we kept him, Boone, Dalvin Cook, C.J. Ham, and Alexander Madison. So we got 5.
Yeah, the only mild surprise here is Amir Abdullah making the cut, but I think he's around just for that special teams reason, and I'm fine with it. I didn't want him to go. I didn't like him last year, but he really grew on me, so not sad one bit to see Amir Abdullah make the roster.
Yeah, I'm pretty impartial. I'm glad he's here for special teams, obviously. Wide receivers. Here's where things will probably change in the next 24 hours. I agree. We kept 7 of those bad boys.
Yeah, we got Chad Beebe, Dan Chesina, Justin Jefferson, BC Johnson, KJ Osborne, Tajay Sharp, and Adam Thielen. And obviously, I think we're both pretty well dropped our pants when we saw Dan Chesina make it through.
Dan Chesina and Chad Beebe and Tajay Sharp. I mean, any of these guys I consider an actual surprise. I mean, Chad Beebe is the new Brett Jones, who, spoiler alert, we know got cut, but this guy can do no wrong. He's going to make the team every year.
To me, I mean, obviously, Dan Chesina is the fact he's making this roster as a receiver is huge. They kept him over Courtney Davis, over Alexander Hollins, who did everything right, had an amazing camp, and still got the axe.
Hollins.
But it's because of his special teams ability. This guy was a freaking beast on special teams, and he's going to be a beast this year. So, I give the kid all the credit in the world. I love Dan Chesina. He's slowly growing on me like a wart on my right toe.
That's gross.
I know, but yeah, the fact he made this team after just barely making the Nittany Lions in college as a walk-on, what a story, man! What a story.
He's got that 4.3 speed, but the bigger story, I think, well, not bigger, but Alexander Hollins. I mean, he just had a fantastic camp. He's our speedster. He was looked at as maybe even our 4th receiver, and he was one of the early names that actually got cut right away. So hopefully they can sneak him on the practice squad. Courtney Davis, who we've talked a lot about, hopefully they can get him on the practice squad. And then Dylan Mitchell, last year's, 6th-round pick?
No,
I think
he's done.
He's gonzo. So this will be an evolving position as the Vikings add guys.
I think if you're gonna bring in a new safety, this may be one of the positions that gets cut down. So if I'm Tajay Sharp, I'm not feeling real comfortable about my status right now.
Yeah, I think even Chesina, the fact that they kept him, maybe they're going to let other teams fill their practice squads up. Maybe they're horrified that somebody's going to snipe up Dan Chesina. I don't know. But I wouldn't feel that confident if I was him either.
Yeah, those are the 2 there you got to worry about. But I hope he makes it. Let's move on to tight ends. No real shocker here. I think we kind of called it. Tyler Conklin, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr., Brandon Dillon gets the axe, and Nakia Griffin-Stewart. I love Brandon Dillon. I mean, I think he will be on the practice squad, continue to develop. But keeping these 3, I was 100% sure they're only going to keep 3 this year. I think 4 last year was just because we didn't have a lot of talent at wide receiver. This is a pretty damn good trio of tight ends, though.
Yeah, not bad. Conklin had a great camp, and Dillon obviously didn't. I'm sure they would love to get him on the practice squad. We'll see, but I'm glad they're keeping 3. Offensive line, a couple surprises here as well.
Yeah, go ahead and run through it if you want.
Offensive line, we kept 9. We got Bradbury, Ezra Cleveland, Dakota Dozier, Pat Elflein, Rashad Hill, Brian O'Neill, Drew Samia, and Oli Udo. So it's not so much the guys we kept.
Did you say Reef?
Huh?
Did you say Riley Reef?
I don't know if I said him, but yes, he is there. So the ones that we let go, Brett Jones, who seemed like a guy that we were just going to continue back. He got the axe. Jake Lucina, Kyle Hinton. Kyle Hinton hurts, but the biggest surprise is Collins. He was pushing Dakota Dozier.
weren't they splitting reps with the ones? And to go from splitting reps with the ones to being cut all together, prior to camp, I would have said, yeah, he's definitely not making the team. But what you were reading, what you were hearing, I started thinking, okay, Collins is going to make it. But looking at this group, this is probably the best 9 you could put together. I mean, considering the circumstances of the COVID and everything, I do like the upside of Hinton and Lucina, but I think those guys are probably better served on the practice squad this year. So this is probably the best of the group you could get. I'm not a Bush Jones fan. And what's with people saying he could get on the practice squad? He's been in the league for like 6 years. I don't think he's eligible, but
I think he is actually. There's some weird ass rules this year. I've seen it multiple spots, but I as painful as it is to see some of these guys like Kyle Hinton, Jake Lucina that were really pulling for him. Being able to get them on the practice squad for a year is going to go a long way. I think next year they come in and really push for that spot. And I can't remember, and Blake Brandel was on there too.
Yeah, and early when the cuts are going on, there was a lot of buzz about Brandel maybe making the team, but he didn't do it.
All right, well, let's go to the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
defensive line kept 11 of those guys.
Yeah, we got Jalen Holmes, Daniil Hunter, Jaleel Johnson, James Lynch, Hercules Mataafa, Yannick Ngakwe, Efieti Adenabo, Shamar Stephan, Armon Watts, and DJ Wanham, and Eddie Yarbrough did it.
Eddie freaking Yarbrough. The only defensive lineman that we cut was David Moa Constrictor.
The Moa Constrictor?
The Moa Constrictor is the only defensive lineman we got rid of so far. So there's really not a ton to talk about. I mean, James Lynch, I think, was a little scary if he was going to make it or not, but.
Oh, and him and Hercules, the only two I didn't maybe think, I thought maybe wouldn't make it. You didn't hear a sniff out of Lynch in camp. I don't think he had a really good camp. I think they kept him because he's a 4th-round pick. Hercules Mataafa, again, maybe these are one of these guys who get released after we bring in a safety or something. But other than that, there's no surprises here. Really, we all saw Eddie Yarbrough coming. We knew DJ Wanham was going to make it. Armon Watts is probably going to be in the Pro Bowl, so no one's surprised there.
Pro Bowl? Did you say Hall of Fame or Pro Bowl? I couldn't hear you.
I think I said Pro Bowl, but Hall of Fame will probably be next year.
Yeah, they're going to have to cut somebody when they bring in a safety or something. And Eddie Yarbrough and even James Lynch, I think are the ones that probably
Yarbrough safe.
Okay, all right, Eddie Yarbrough. Okay, linebackers. We only kept 5. Anthony Barr, Troy Dye, Kendricks, Hardy Nickerson makes a team, and Eric Wilson, of course. So Hardy Nickerson.
Yeah. One bar and Linebacker show clap for him. We love that. We love sons of former players. That's why we love Chad Beebe, but we don't anymore.
I don't love him anymore. David Reese, our free agent that we just brought in, is the only linebacker that went
Gideon
by.
was getting IR'd or PUP or whatever.
Yep, he's on the PUP.
So this could maybe change, but I think this is the best. Again, like with the D line or the O line we talked about. Talking about the 5 to keep. This is definitely the 5 to keep. Nickerson came in, picked things up quickly. Gives you some veteran depth, and Troy Dye, I think, is going to be a beast on special teams and filling in. So I'm liking this linebacker core quite a bit.
Yeah, I love it. Ramble off the corners.
All right, we got Chris. We only kept 6. Chris Boyd, Cam Dantzler, Jeff Gladney, Harrison Hand, Holton Hill, and Mike Hughes. To me, there's only one surprise in this list. And it's Harrison Hand, because he had such a quiet camp. You heard about Neville Clark. You even got a little sniff from Mark Fields and Nate Meters moving back and forth. But Harrison Hand, there was nothing, and he makes it through. So maybe he still is looked at as a guy who could move over to safety. I don't know.
Yeah, Neville Clark is easily the biggest surprise to me. Great camp. But when you look at these 6 corners, I mean, look at how young these guys are. Holy crap. I just picture this in a year or two. We're going to have a pretty damn good group of cornerbacks.
Well, I mean, this is just dripping with upside. It's like all over the sides of them. It's just coming out slowly.
Drip.
What you like. I mean, what even they said in camp, Gladney and Dancer, they play hungry, they play aggressive, they have no fear. So you got to love that. Hopefully Mike Hughes can kind of show us why he was a 1st-round pick, and Holton Hill can maybe go back to that first rookie year, how good he looked. But as raw as this group is, you got to love their potential. You got to love their upside, but you also got to be aware that there's going to be probably 3 to 4 weeks of it could be some painful growing pains here.
Yeah, they're going to be up and down all year, no doubt about it, but they will show glimpses to get us very excited. Let's go to the biggest surprise.
Speaking of growing pains, was that the show where Boner was a part of?
Yes, it was. The Sievers, Boner was the neighbor that everybody loved.
He was.
Let's talk about the safeties. We only have 2 safeties.
Yeah. We got Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith. I'm surprised. I thought Stephen Parker did enough to make this team. He played well in camp. He came in and did what he's supposed to do. Miles Dorn had some plays. And Josh Metellus, there was nothing but positives coming out of him. So they just got axe happy here. So you wonder who is going to be they're going to bring in somebody. So is it Clinton Dix? He's the only one I can think of top of my head who's available. I know there's some more, but
Demarius Randall, there's quite a bit of safeties out there.
Are they all ex-Packers?
Probably. But there's plenty of safeties out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see who they bring in. They must have somebody in mind because Metellus, Stephen Parker, I was very surprised. Really surprised.
I would have thought Metellus would have been a hell of a special teamer. And maybe that's just me speculating, but Metellus will probably end up on the practice squad, but I wonder if he's going to be for a position change. I wouldn't be surprised they just put him flat out at linebacker moving forward.
Yeah. I think
he can't cover.
And then the specialist, Bailey Colquitt cutting, no real surprises there. So that is the 50.
We do need to mention how for the first time in 3-4 years, we're going to have the same kicker, punter, long snapper. I mean,
yeah, I'm so glad we didn't have to talk about that as a concern. I mean, we'll see when the season starts, but it's fantastic. The big things obviously are we did all those draft picks we had. We didn't keep a single 6th or 7th round pick. We only kept one undrafted free agent, just in Mr. Daniel, for now. So just goes to show, even if you got 15 draft picks, man, tough.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I think Dan Chisena, if you're going to look over and say what's the biggest shock, to me it's Dan Chisena making this team, especially after you heard about the position switch. When I first heard that, I thought, okay, maybe he can make it as a safety. But it just shows how valued special teams are. I mean, that's the only reason he's on this team.
Yeah, and my biggest surprise is actually somebody who didn't make the team, and that's Hollins. I could not believe that when they cut him. I thought he was just a shoo-in. I mean, Jad Beebe. Jeez.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Hollins they must have something up their sleeves. My guess is all these 6th and 7th rounders that didn't make the team, they're going to try at least to get every one of those on the practice squad. We get that big 16-team practice squad, so I fully expect all of them to be on it.
And that's going to be what's going to be interesting tomorrow is to see if teams are going to just keep their guys or if they're going to try to, I just get the feeling they haven't done a lot of research on these other teams. I mean, you're not playing them in the preseason. You're not really looking around. I don't expect there to be a lot of sniping going on. I think you're just going to try to keep your own guys tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll keep their own guys, and then it's going to be interesting to see what they do at safety. Even George Iloka was on, who was tweeting about it. Some beat writer was tweeting about how there's still interest in bringing him back. So that will be a fun one to watch. It'll be fun to see who gets booted from receiver and then what they do on defensive line.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's set now. I think this time tomorrow it's going to be different. And we'll see. We'll see who's going to be wearing purple come week 1. But it's an exciting time. It was an exciting day. And I'm glad I got to share this time with you to talk about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it with anybody else. Tomorrow they're going to be setting that practice squad. We'll be back, no doubt, at least once, maybe 9 times tomorrow to talk about all the moves. And I can't freaking wait.
Yeah, I had to fend you off from doing this video at 11:30 today. So excited. So here's something that will not excite you. Due to all the plagues in Europe over history, 10% of Europeans have inherited an immunity to HIV.